Why have I quit my job? Why have I, bought a van? And why am I going to drive around the country? Well, I'm passionate about the idea that you need to be heard. And I want to stitch these stories together across the states. We're going to find the commonalities, and it's going to be really an amazing experience, and I look forward to you joining me on the jar. Morning, everybody, and welcome back to Mental Health Today. I'm your host, Ken Stearns, and another fun episode planned today. Going to really dig into somebody with some experience today, which is always good. Yesterday, we had somebody just entering the space, writing their own book and sharing a very personal journey. And Faust, welcome to the show. Look forward to kind of hearing a completely different angle on life and experience. Helping kind of gather all of your experiences and the stories people have shared, clients have shared with you, and turning those into workbooks that people can use and learn from. So thanks, and welcome to the program.
Ken, thanks so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be spending time with you today.
Yeah, it should be really fun. I want to get into a little bit of your work before, your previous stuff, a little bit before we start talking about your current work. And then even I like the fact you've got something, in the can and in the oven, and then something else that you've got on the table and you're already mixing the ingredients. And we're gonna get to see that later in the year as well. So you're pretty productive.
Well, I'm having fun. I tell people you can go out and change the world, but you got to have some fun doing it. That keeps it green. That keeps it something to look forward to. So yeah, I'm busy, but I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, it's we had a little chat before getting on live, and this was kind of basically the conversation talking about both of us are not spring chickens. I call this my third. I stole this from a guest. I call this my third act. So I feel like I'm just in the beginning of my third act.
There you
go. It's, you got act one and act two really do set the stage and build everything. And I think it's important for people, especially if you're, younger, to know that it's a long game, and you've got these periods in your life where, you're maybe not meant to know everything, and, gather up those experiences and gather up that wisdom and listen and learn from other people. And, when you get into this third act, it does feel a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
Kids are grown up. The responsibilities change. Here it's just my wife and myself, and we do what we do. I still counsel people. I write. I do interviews. I keep busy. As we were saying before we started, a 12-hour day is just fine with me. And because I don't separate the work from the fun. And that's always been my motto, if you will. I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm going to be out in the back digging holes, or I'm in, doing an interview, it should all be fun. There are moments of my life going by. I want to put as much joy in them as I possibly can.
Is that, you've practiced therapy. Is that something you find for people that are the most, kind of the most content, the most grounded, that they are kind of what you're describing as being present in the moment of what you're doing?
Well, and that's what we teach them. They'll come in, and very few people come into counseling with that. But I always tell them, you're worried about this, you're angry about that. Your life is happening in the moment you're breathing. That's what you have control over. Deal with that. Make that something that's productive. Make it something that you enjoy. And there, and there are times when you can't do that. And okay, that's there. But far more often than not, we have control over what we're doing. We really do. We just think we don't.
Yeah, I'm just writing a speech for a Toastmasters. I'm in Toastmasters here in Portland, and I'm writing one on VUCA, which is this old military, school college idea. General Thurman, I think, if I can remember, trying to remember the name now as I'm trying to write the speech and get it together. But those volatile, uncertain, chaotic, ambiguous times, and it's all around us. And a lot of the speech is really around what you can control. And take take that for what it is, right? You can't control everything, um, but it's the
Uh,
best way to lead.
And why would you want to? I mean, that's just a lot of junk that you bring into your life when you think about it. When I think about the amount of
Yes,
energy people are putting out to control minute things, I just say to myself, boy, there's so many important things in your life, and you're spending time on, whether the dishwasher is loaded
yes.
properly. I mean, that type of stuff. Uh, you know, enjoy.
Yeah, that is one of my that is a really good one. You could do a whole study on that. The people how you load a dishwasher and then your logic, as people examine it, before you press start, have people open it up and explain why you loaded it the way you did.
I find letting go of all that stuff when I did that years ago, and I don't care. My wife said, do you mind if we do it this way? I said, I don't care. That's wonderful. If you like it, absolutely do it, because, and there are times I look at it and I say, I really don't like that, but who cares in the grander scheme of things? Who cares what color the rug is, or you want to put that on the front porch? Do it. I don't
I
care. And that's not me not wanting to be involved. I'll even discuss it with her, and I'll throw some suggestions. But in the end, whatever she wants, I really, you know, I always used to tease her. I say, "You worry about getting that all set up, and I'll worry about saving the world." You know?
I mean, you're gonna load the dishwasher 30,000 times in your life. Experiment a little.
There you go.
I mean, like trying to make sure that the way the dryer's rotating the clothes as it works, right? Trying to make sure you can control how the dryer,
Get them in there just right, huh?
right? Make sure that the jumper and the socks are in the right order, and the underwear, is going as it goes through, making sure it's all perfect. Oh, tell me a little bit about your previous work, Faust. How did you, this is the old Stousey kind of
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Where did you come from, and why are you here?
You know, uh, it's a great question. For me, where I come from, it's just I've been in the same area in eastern Pennsylvania I've been in. But the key for me is that some people look for what they're going to do. I just kind of it was in me. I was the listener when I
Interesting.
was a kid. I love people. I love to talk to people. I've never met a person who's come into my office and I can't say I just love I love
Yeah.
that person. I love to be with them. It's been in me, and I just developed it from that point. Um, Grad school, and I took all different kinds of courses so I could be well grounded. Got out of grad school, and for the first, I don't know, almost 10 years, I took different jobs, clinics and hospitals and prisons, and working with deaf kids, all different kinds of things, so I could have that background, that well
Mm,
versed background. When people do come in the office, I can, or whether I counsel online, I can say, all right, I got you, because whatever you bring up, I'm probably going to have a reference point on it.
yes.
I did that for almost 40 years, and then in 2019 said, okay, I want to do something a little different. I don't want to give up counseling, but I want to put this out there on a more broader spectrum. And I started with the first book, and my books are a little different than most people's. They're short chapters, under 10 pages. They are designed to give information on a particular topic, but then I give
Mhm.
action steps at the end of every chapter. So when you are reading, let's say you're reading something about anger, you are now at the end of the chapter saying, hey, these are the things you want to do to help
Okay.
reduce that anger in your life. And I wrote it also so it can be a reference book. So when they come back a year later and say, I'm starting to get angry again here, I can go back to that chapter, read about 7, 8, maybe 9 pages, whatever, get my
Yeah.
action steps, and I can get back on track. So it's sort of like
Super.
what we do in counseling. Essentially, what we're doing is we're giving them information, we're giving them things to do so we
Right.
can change
Homework.
your life.
Okay.
Let's put that in a book. I hadn't seen that anywhere. I see a lot of information. Everyone's throwing information out. They got all the acronyms, and they got all the trendy
Hmm.
language and all that stuff, and they're and then you look at their book, and it's 30 or 35 pages a chapter, and you say, okay, now what do I do with this information?
Yes. Yeah.
That was the void that I found. And I don't want to say everyone didn't do it right, but I thought, as a therapist, that's what we needed. We need to be a little bit more prescriptive in the way
Mm,
we do things. Here, do it this way. And then people, when they leave my office, that when I say, do these things this
Hmm.
week. They're small, but do them. And they
Yeah.
come back the next week and say, gee, you know what? That was clear. I was able to do it.
Yeah.
What are we doing next? And they start to get excited. So let's put that in
Ooh.
a book format, and let's do the same thing. So, we did the Fix Yourself Handbook was kind of like the flagship handbook, and that's done very well. So now we've got Fix Your Anxiety, Fix Your Depression, Fix Your Anger, and we'll be doing Fix Your Addiction next.
Where do people find your material? How do they find the
Go to
books?
my website, or Amazon has all the books. Uh,
Okay.
and
And what would they search on Amazon? What's the search title?
you can type in my name, or if you type in Fix Yourself Handbook, Fix Yourself, it brings you. There's actually a page because it's a series. So
Yes.
Amazon lists each book individually, but they also list the series. So
Okay.
where you'll get to see all the books that
So
are there.
fix yourself, Faust, and
Yeah.
you're going to pop up.
Yep.
I love,
Absolutely.
I love that. Do
And
you
my
have any?
website
Yeah.
is my name. So if they see my name, I just type in my name. It goes to the website. Everything about the books, excerpts from the books are there. Where to buy them, contact links, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff is there.
And it's FAUSTRUGGIERO.
Correct.
Okay, that's perfect. So people can find you. So the one you've got coming out in July is the Fix Your Anger.
That's yep. That's Fix Your
Yeah.
Anger Handbook.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, wow. There are so many angry people
At
walking
this
around.
point, we went into the first book and then thought we would do a sequel. And then the pandemic hit, and then we saw the anxiety.
Yes.
So we pulled back and said, you know what? I've treated all these things for years. Let's do one on anxiety. That went over, and then people were emailing and calling and saying, "How about depression? I've got this coming out of this too." So we went to depression next, and then I'm looking out and saying, "Look at this world. We're ready to kill each other. It's
It's,
every day. This is all you read. You go online and watch people attacking each other. So let's do something to give people some skills to get away from all that."
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the protests on some of these college campus right now, they just a lot of anger in there. And, it's shaped into a particular force, right? It has a particular angle on it. But I feel at the core, it's a lot of individual angry people.
It always is. There are
Yeah.
other ways to deal with things rather than taking over buildings and burning buildings down and hurting people. And
Mhm.
you think you're getting your message through. You think you have to do that or you won't get their attention, but you
Yes. Right.
will. There are other ways when they see you as an intelligent person who has researched your topic and comes with a plan. That's great. If you look at all these people who are protesting, and it's always the same way. And you say, okay, you don't like what's going on. What is your plan? Let's look at your plan step by step.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
They don't have one.
Yeah.
They just don't
Uh,
like what they see.
yeah. And it's tough. I mean, it's shocking that it's Ivy League classes and they can't articulate their plan. You would hope that the school is better preparing the youth for
Oh, yeah.
to get up there and argue their case, right? Like you said, I'd love to see those old. I remember when Trafalgar Square in England, where they had the soapbox, where you could get on the box and you could articulate a point, and people would shout at you their own counter argument, and you would defend your case, right? It's a great way to hone your skills and to hone your argument is to be not attacked but verbally challenged on
The
your position.
easiest way to break down an anger, a person that's angry, is simply let them explain themselves. I
Yes.
always say we're trying to shut them up. I say, fine, give them the podium and now say, okay, you get the podium, but you must be able to tell us what your plan is step
Hmm.
by step so we can see what you want to do because obviously you don't like what we have. So, and
Yeah.
that's when people kind of fall apart. And then that's when they take stock of themselves and they say, I'm screaming all this
It,
out, but
it,
I don't really have something
yeah.
in here. They'll say, well, I don't know what to do, but I'm not doing that. Well, I said, that's not productive. You may not like what one person's doing, but at least they're doing something. They're trying it. They're
Yeah.
they're putting their plan together and trying it. You may not like it, but if that's the case, instead of being an adversary, say, hey, I'd like to come and help out on this. And I have
Right.
some ideas too. Let's talk. They don't do that.
Yeah, and so do you cover I mean, so it's a great one, right? If you handed out those your anger book to everybody on campus right now, what would be the outcome? How would they, as they read through the first kind of parts of the book and they went to the exercises, what would they, how do you envision that would happen? What would happen?
When they're angry and they're in a group like that, not much. You really have to
Yeah.
get people to pull back a little bit and say, okay, fine, I know I'm angry, and I don't like being angry.
Yes.
That's something that can help me so that maybe I can do things differently and I don't feel this all the time. Because
Right.
in the end, I always say anger is one of those things where it's like a gun you point at someone, but it fires back at you too, because you're experiencing all those negative, horrible things, emotionally, intellectually, physically, even spiritually. You're experiencing all that negative energy, and you think you're making a difference. In the end, you're just hurting yourself.
Oh yeah, the chemicals that get released
Uh-huh.
in your body, your I don't know if it's your nervous system or your biological systems, but the chemistry that your body can create is so much more powerful than anything man could create. You know, of all the drugs that we've got, we try to mimic. I mean, almost all the drugs that we make, we try to mimic actually what the human body can make. So you're dumping so much into your body when you're angry that it's really hard to function.
Well, you get angry. Now you can't sleep right. Then you get
Yes.
up in the morning and you're tired, so you start on the accelerants, whatever they may be, to get you going. Now you're angry all day long. Your body's producing
Yes.
more cortisol. All the neurotransmitters are out of balance, and your body is getting sick, and you don't even know that, because the
Wow.
adrenaline has you going so fast and so powerful that you can't realize that all this is happening to
Yes.
you until you collapse, until you crash and say, I'm beat on this, and then you realize, my God, I feel it's like a massive hangover. You
Yeah,
just
it's a
it really is, because then there has to be a recovery time. I always say, there's anger, there's the explosion, then there's the recovery time when your mind and your emotions and your body have to fix itself, because anger internally is it hurts you. It's a insult to the body. It just comes in and does damage, and you don't know that's happening. So you now are going to be into a recovery
mm.
stage on that.
It's interesting because I've been reading a lot, like especially like fight or flight, right? Where you're in this, where you constantly get yourself in this mode of fight or flight, and how difficult that is in life. You can create the emotion, the physical chemicals can be thrown into your body just from a thought, just
Well,
from thinking,
that's the
and
interesting point. When you talk fight or flight, we
it
need
has a
that, because
has a purpose, right?
it's an immediate response. Okay, this is happening. I've got to either fight it or I got to
Yes,
get out of here. But after that point, then mentally, emotionally, physically, we're supposed to settle. That's an
yes,
instantaneous response. It's meant for that. It's
yes,
not meant to be extended, and we extend it. When
yes,
that fight or flight happens, it uses up a tremendous amount of resources all throughout the body and through the mind. So now we're extending it. It's all day
hmm
long. It's over and over every day.
yes.
The damage being done to one's body is just horrific, but we don't realize it because it was never meant to be that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so how does anger so I was kinda, making the idea, the point of the fight or flight part has a purpose, like you said, and then you recover and, you're running from the big giant dinosaur and, it's good. You gotta figure that out. You better have those
Yeah.
the chemistry. But anger, what's the nat in nature, does this exist? Or is that part of the fight and flight kind
That's
of
where it exists.
it
If you
exists
look
in
at
there.
the animals, they're not constantly going out and killing. They do what they have to do for a purpose to
Yes.
survive, and then they sleep. They lay down. They
Yeah.
relax. Um, you know, they use it when they need it. We, on the other hand, we don't have all that survival to be worried about. So now we attach it to all these other things, particularly relationships and social issues. And now we're in extended periods of time. If this were an animal, if we use that analogy, they'd be fighting all day long. They would die out quickly,
They
and
would
that's
die,
what's
yeah. You
happening.
would
People are just, drugs to offset what they're doing, calm them down. Marijuana is the new savior of the world. We're gonna smoke something and feel a whole lot better, but it's a drug, of course, and it's going to do its damage. So we do all these things then to counteract the damage we're putting in. And I just say, talk to people, be
Yes.
warm and relaxed, and say, look, this, I don't like what's going on in Israel and through there. Okay, let's talk about what you don't like,
Mm,
and let's talk about why, and let's talk about your plan. What is your plan to make that better? Because
yes.
otherwise, all you're doing is making noise, and you're really telling the world, because that's how the rest of us are all interpreting it. You're telling us that I need a lot of attention, so here's a soapbox. I'll take this building. I'll march in this protest. I have to do something to feel, like I'm significant. I remember years ago being in New York, in Manhattan, and I was there for a workshop, and I went out in the morning, and this woman it was a whole lot of people, but I saw this woman marching. She was pro-abortion, and doing their thing, and they were orderly. It was nice. But in the afternoon, we went on another break. She was a few blocks down, and she was marching in another protest against capital punishment. And I thought to myself, geez, when I thought, it can't be this person had, they just don't work. They're not coherent perspectives. And I said, this person needs a lot of attention, and that's really what it was. A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming on two issues: one to take a life and one not to take a life. Now, and for all I know, those were legitimate ways for her to respond. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying it was a real, kind of a wake up thing where I said, this one just wants attention. And then I started thinking, when I see all the protesters, you
Yes.
can really look at them and see who is engaged in the issue versus who is engaged in bringing themselves to the issue. That's a whole different
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, there's ways to get involved, right? Like you said before, be part of the solution. Don't create a sideshow around it, because
Right.
there's no winner in this. I don't see any, there's no winners,
No.
and nothing's going to happen from these kind of outbursts. Um, it's very interesting when we look at how people do, even a mean tweet can get the body, can release chemicals, and how we've kind of lost control a little bit of that. I mean, and these are crazy times. What's, some of your advice for people listening, that will pick up your handbooks and go through stuff? How do you kind of stay sane in these turbulent times
Well,
without,
the first thing you have to do is slow down.
Mm,
It's hard to think about something, hard to put a plan together, hard to make rational thoughts
yes,
if you're going you're going so fast, you're accelerated all day long. You don't have time to think. You're not sleeping. Well, take care of your body is the next thing. Sleep well. Don't put things in there that don't belong in your body. Uh,
mm,
you know, take care of your body, exercise, all those things. Take care of your body. I preach about intellect over emotion. It's in the first book. I call it I
oh, I
over
love this.
intellect.
I over E.
Yeah, and I say, you know what? I'm not telling you not to emote. I'm just saying
Yeah,
slow down, because those first 3 or 4 seconds tell you what you're going to do and how you're going to react. Make those first 3 seconds a decision to say, I'm not going to react here. That piece of information came to me, or someone did something.
yes,
Let me take a step back. What do I want to do with this? Let me think. Because now what you've done is you've engaged your brain. Something has happened, and rather than the hairs on your neck standing up and you're
yes,
in fight mode, you're not running away. You're just saying, I have to think about what I'm doing. And I tell people to do that all day long in anything you're doing. What do I want to do with this? I'm going to get in my car. Even it's something stupid like, how do I want to get in there? It's not, who cares how you get in? It's the fact that you put conscious thought to what you're
ooh,
doing. And if you do that all the time, when emotional things come up, your default way of behaving, of approaching that situation, is to do it with your brain, with the intellectual part of your brain.
yes,
And we have to understand that emotions and intellect, that thinking process, reside inside the same skull. They're in our brain. They're both there.
crazy,
So,
right?
right. So
Crazy.
what? Yeah, it's not about emotions don't exist in your heart. That's ridiculous. They exist in your head. So which part of your head, so to speak, you're giving energy to, that's the one that's going to guide you. If you want it to be your emotions, then you will scream and yell and cry and laugh and do all those things that really don't move you into a productive mode. But if you're willing to take a step back and say, how do I want to do this? I know I want to do something. What do I want to do? Now you've given your brain priority. Okay, now it's my thought. It's that thinking part of my brain. I'm giving that priority. And if I can, it's social media. Someone throws a post and it's pro Trump or it's pro Biden, and I'm like, oh my God, and then I do something. I hit submit. Yes. Versus, all right, I saw that. Do I really want to respond? If so, how do I want to do that? When I do that and I hit submit and walk away, am I going to feel good with what I've done? Am I going to be ready for a backlash and I'm okay with that? Now you get to ask yourself all those questions that your emotions will not allow you to act. That emotions are part of that fight or flight.
Yes. Yeah.
So, they're not designed to make you think. They're designed to make you feel. But your decision to do something with an action plan is part of the thinking part of your brain. Right. So you got to slow it down so it can think.
I've been way more intentional about this as well, trying to do the I over E, more and more as I kind of look inside my own self and behavior and try to control those, flatten that emotional, injections. Yesterday, I got a phone call I've been in battle, if you will, with a bank, with a financial institution, on a retirement program I had, and, trying to get through the hoops, and defeat all the bosses to get the paperwork done. And, it's quite complicated. It's a long story, but and I thought I had defeated the final boss. And, and I got a phone call yesterday that said, sorry, Mr. Stearns, a new boss has entered the game.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, right?
And and it was like, and you're going to need 4 more lives to defeat this boss, and you're going to need a much bigger weapon set, please insert $4. Right. And I was, and I just, for about 20 seconds, I just completely lost my mind, and I could feel all that chemical coming in. And I was just like, oh no, whoa, and I was aware enough. I couldn't stop myself from sending the email because it worked the first time. I still sent the email partly because it had, it kind of has to be done. I didn't feel bad about it, but it is, even myself, I'm super aware now. And even in the moment, I knew kind of, half and half what I was doing was right and part was wrong. I was going to send that email anyway. It was just the tone of the email that had to be sent, right? And trying to control the emotional words of that email so you don't regret it and don't worry about what comes back, and make sure it's helpful and moves things along towards defeating the new boss. But I could feel those chemicals circulating around my body, and it was at nighttime. So I had to lay down and sit with my chemistry, and, and have a mindful talk about, what I had done and, how I can do better. And also to let those chemicals kind of out, or to release another chemical. I'm not quite sure what I was doing, but kind of releasing another chemical to smooth things over and to go back into, rest mode and recovery mode. Right. And try to get through that. And boy, it's funny. I mean, I consider myself pretty mindful compared to Ken 1.0. Yeah. I'm definitely a different person. But still, we get caught up in it. And, well, that was a fun lesson last night, man. I was just wanted to kick myself around the room. I probably just could have, I don't know what I could have done to defeat boss number 2, but it didn't have to go that way. Let me read a question from you from the, this is kind of a great one for you. So I pulled a question from the jar, which you saw the video for earlier on. So a little question for Faust. Can you change your past, your yesterdays? And if so, how? And if no, how does it make you feel?
You know what? I get that question's about the past a lot. And I always tell people, if you're going to embrace your life, you have to embrace all of it, because it's not going anywhere. We all have things in our past, things that were traumatic, things that were painful, things that maybe we did and we I wish I really would. Have done that. All that kind of stuff. it's gone. And the only way it can affect us is if we give it life, if we decide to think about it,
Mm,
emote about it, and
yes.
then bring it forward. We're back into that. We're in the present. Life is right where you're living it. I use the past as a teacher, a lesson person, so to speak. From that, like you just said, Ken 1.0, we all have it. I've got my own. And I look back and I say, if you meet me now, I will guarantee you I am not the same person I was
Yes.
many years ago. Those lessons, I used them. They were valuable lessons to teach me and bring me to where I am today. I don't think that I could teach people effectively if I didn't have those.
Mm,
I know what to avoid. I know how to do things a little bit better. I can be more productive because of those. So I tell people, look at it that way and stop punishing yourself and stop feeling guilty or shameful,
mm,
because you still have to move on from that. If you have things you have to close out, you feel you got to apologize to someone or something still hurts and you can't do it, get some help for it and get past it.
mhm.
Sit down with someone, counsel with someone, and get past those things. There's still life in front of you, and that's the one. That's the part
Yeah.
you want to embrace. You want to get in today, and I want to get up in the morning, and I do, and I say, okay, Lord, let's go, let's get this day. Not, oh my God, here I go, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to feel horrible. I don't want to go there. I want to say, all right, bring it on. And whatever. I just had a conversation with someone last night who was interviewing me and said, when you don't like something, what do you do? And I say, I don't think of it that way. It's a gift. It was talking about
Yes.
her child, and child's not sleeping at night. And I said, I looked at that raising 4 kids, and I got up in the middle of the night when I took my turn and said, this is great. I'm holding my child. I did it that way rather than, oh, I hate this. I'm so tired. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. This child never sleeps.
Yes. Yeah.
Because no, the child then feels my nervous tension. And then,
Yes.
so I just look at it as I have the gift of being able to do these things every day. I could be one of those people bound to a bed or a wheelchair or
Yes.
something, and there's some limitations. And even some of those people in chairs say, I don't have limitations. You guys have limitations. The way you think is your limitation.
Yes.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
physical part it can overcome. It's your brain that you're not overcoming.
So true. So many that we talked before. I was explaining the show and kind of the background, how I got started. And so many of the people I interviewed in the jar had some really horrific stories.
Sure.
Which and you've been in the business of listening to those and helping people for a long time. So for me, it was really shocking, hearing some stories but man, amazing, Faust. Nobody wanted to change their past. They owned it, and I was meeting people in a good space mostly. They wouldn't go on they would not volunteer to come on the show unless they were in a better place,
Sure.
but they were happy to share their stories and own them. And they were really, if you listen to some of the folks that we interviewed, in such a great place, even though they had some rough moments. And it has led me to that what you just articulated, which is things don't happen to us, right? They happen for us.
For us, exactly.
And, it is exactly what you describe. I love that, laying in,
Yeah,
bed with the kid and, man, you're so dang lucky. Hold those
about
babies,
that. I'm in my
man.
home. It's warm or it's cool when I want it to be. The food's in the refrigerator. The lights are on, television, whatever. I have all these amenities, and I'm going to be concerned because, gee, I lost a couple hours of sleep. I
Holding
tell people,
my baby.
stop all this insanity. Embrace your life. Create the moments you want.
Yes.
Get it, and be an active player in your life. And stop this. Stop giving control away to
Mm,
whoever.
yes.
Take control of your life. Plot it out. Have a plan. One step at a time. Move to your goals. And enjoy the process while you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying yourself in your day, it's not about other people or this guy did that or this rotten situation. It's your unwillingness to embrace that, recreate it, and move past it and make it work for you.
Yeah.
Get past you can't get past the world till you get past yourself.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but it's many times I've heard the saying, but, nothing's gonna change in the world until you change.
And it still may
And
not change out there.
yeah, yeah.
It's I just had someone just asked me today in a counseling session, "Do you think this is gonna get better?" I said, "No." "Oh, that's terrible. You should be saying yes." I said, "No. Do I
Uh,
think the world's gonna get better? Look
no, yeah,
at what's
no.
happening." Maybe it's no. I said, "But I have no control over that. I have control over what I'm doing in my part of the world, and I can get that out to other people and maybe help them do something in their parts of the world. But I can't tell you honestly that this is all gonna get better." You know, I get up every day, and it's almost, if you wanted to, you can say, well, let's see who got shot yesterday, because it's there almost every day. So
Oh, yeah.
the world,
Amplified.
I have no control over that, but I do have control over what I do in it. That I can work with.
I'm staying with my daughter here in Portland. I just, settled down after the couple of years of traveling and I'm getting a chance. And I've been away overseas for quite a long time. So it's great to be near her and her husband and there's 3 grandkids here in the house. And these guys are great. They're the greatest couple. Out Outside of their kids and the school and the daily routine of raising the children and being present for them and being the best parents they can be, and they're amazing parents. Outside the world, what's going on? Zero emotion. There's no Twitter, there's no they don't watch news. They have no F's to give about the outside world. They got their own little universe, and they're in here to make just life great every day and raise some happy kids. And just I don't even think they have any clue what's going on in schools and campuses. They couldn't care less. And it'll all go away. It'll all die down. It'll all be gone. And guess what? They didn't get involved or emoted or encamped or excited about any of it, and it'll all go away. So they've kind of flattened the curve, on the like.
It's the way you do it. That's the other thing. When you ask, what do we do for anger and all, is stop following the media.
Yeah,
This isn't the old days of Huntley Brinkley and Walter Cronkite, where they just said, this happened today. This all has a slant to it that says, hey, did you hear this? Come on this
yeah,
side.
yeah. Get excited. Get excited.
This news source aligned with this person. You walk away from that and you say, oh my God. And I say, what? Is it in your house? Let it go.
Yes.
Stop following that. Stop getting, if you've got people on your Facebook page and you want to keep Facebook and they're the ones that are controversial and they're poking it, get them off the page.
Yeah.
Only bring positive energy into your life. You can do this. You really can.
I think it's a powerful comment. I mean, it's a great way to kind of frame as we kind of get to the close part of this conversation is I love that, which is just get that junk out of your life. The stuff that does create emotion that's not your own. There's enough challenges in life, right? Just going through life and doing waking up and having fun and making good fun of the day and enjoying your life. It's a lot easier when you don't have outside people playing around in your kitchen.
If you're going to make changes, your first thing to do is to purge. Let me get all this stuff in my life that doesn't work. Let me get it out of my life if I can.
I love that.
And because it's hard to make changes while the negative stuff is still in your world. That's pulling you back and you're trying to move
Yes.
forward. So I always tell people, example, fella comes in, he's having anxiety attacks. And I go through everything and I see that he's working 2 jobs, sometimes a third on the weekend. He's got accelerants, 4 or 5 cups of coffee in the morning and a power drink, energy drink of some sort in the afternoon. He's not sleeping. Well, I said, stop before you're asking me to help you change it. Let's just get all this flattened out first.
Yeah.
Let's get that out of your life. And you're going to see 50% of your anxiety go. Then I'll tell you how you can do some things differently that are always going to work for you. But if you want to keep that in, you're going to come back in a month, 2 weeks, whatever, and say, it's the same thing. Your stuff's not working. And I'm going to say, you're right, because you put a force field around yourself and you're not letting me in.
Yes.
Garbage out of there. So the
Right.
first thing is you look and say, what am I doing? And you got to be honest with yourself, because we all like our little comfort zones, you got to be honest. Okay, that's not good. Should the human body have 4 cups of coffee in the morning? Absolutely not. And they all lie and say, well, I only have 2 now. No, please. the symptoms are all there. Of course, you have more than two,
Yeah.
and the carbs and the sugars and all the accelerants. Get them out of there. Then let's slow your life down. Let's create a pace you can breathe in. When I start getting the purge, and then they start to realize, okay, there's some other ways to do this. I
Yeah.
can rearrange my thinking now because my brain has enough time to do so, and it hasn't been infiltrated with all this garbage.
One of the biggest things for me was calming the mind down or I'd say the biggest impact of calming the mind down was being able to think again and being alone with your thoughts and really truly processing stuff and taking time. And so many ways, listening to Eckhart Tolle the other day, and he was talking about, just making fun of everybody because you get to the elevator, you press the button, and what do? Pull your phone out. What are you pulling your phone out for? Who knows? Nothing. Just you stare at the thing and you flick it around with your thumb. And
Autopilot living.
because you can't actually be with your own self, your own
Uh-huh.
thoughts for 10 seconds, or just turn to the person next to you and say, "Hey, how's it going? Where are you going? What are you doing? Hi, I'm Ken." Which is what we used to do.
It's what I still do. I'm sure you do too. I get in the
Yeah.
elevator. Hey, how's everything? What's happening? And as long as they don't have their phone out, I get a response. And if they do, I might just get a nod.
And they walk away going, what, did someone just say something to me?
Who was that guy?
I have a fun, you can kind of sort of see it here. I have a fun trick, party trick, and I carry my business cards from the jar. And on one side this is the back is a mental health today card. But what I did, Faust, is I printed my questions from the show on the cards. And so I'll quite often, when I meet people, even like that in the elevator, I might even turn to everybody in the elevator and hold them out like a card trick and just say, question of the day. Let me leave you with a thought. Total stranger, random in a hotel elevator. And the look on people's faces sometimes is aghast that a stranger would talk to a stranger
About that.
about anything. Just even like looking at me is weird in an elevator. But leaving them with a question, and let's do that with you today. Let's give you one more question, and then maybe you kind of use that to wrap up your thoughts and
Sounds great.
kind of let us get on with the day. Oh, okay, it's a good one. This is what we didn't cover. So, a question from the jar for Faust. Can you tell us about your favorite encounter or time in nature? Favorite time or encounter in nature?
Favorite time. Those would probably be with my kids. And it's just a local. There's a creek. I'm going to say four or 500 yards from the house down the hill, and
Okay.
we would go down in there, and they'd find little minnows and little crustaceans in there, and
Crawfish, crayfish, crawfish,
kind
yeah,
of stuff,
something.
And but it was just to see the wonder on their face and how they enjoyed that time,
Mm,
and they'd wait for the next time. Now let's go down to the creek again. Okay,
yeah.
let's and splash in the water, and then now they begin to learn about it. Now they start talking about it. That bird that does this, or that hawk, is teaching the baby how to, and you start to see them come alive, and they're coming alive in a very natural process. It's wonderful. Those have always been, just wonderful memories for me.
Mm,
And it's not uncommon. Now they're men. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to come home and say, "Hey, you want to go up down into the creek, or we have the Appalachian Trail about 5 or 6 miles from here, so we can get
okay.
and walk on the trail if we want to." So they'll suggest it now. Let's go up and absolutely let's do it. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Faust, awesome conversation. I really appreciate you and the work you've been doing. And the workbook's a great idea. I really love that, and I'm trying to get some stuff like that going myself. So it's a good inspiration to talk to you, knowing another young guy's out there banging, still grinding.
There we go. I like that young thing.
Yeah, we're early in our third act. It's still early in the third act. For us third actors, we're kids.
There we go.
Our third actors. Any closing thoughts you want to just leave the audience with? Maybe a summary or a reminder? Some of your the top of the
Yeah.
brain.
Best thing I love to tell people is Stop trying to find who you are. Spend some time creating who you are.
Ooh.
Everything you need is all inside you already. You're gonna get the junk off.
Yeah.
It's already in there. Learning how to access it and what to do with it will really change the way you live life. But you're not going to find, I don't know where you would look to find yourself. You're going to create yourself. You're going to say, this is who I want to be. Then you're going to put a plan together, and then you're going to make it happen step by step, and it works. Just stay committed.
Awesome advice, Faust. Thank you so much, and best of luck on this next workbook. I hope you touch a lot of people.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for listening, supporting mental health today. It's a great, this really is a place where we've got some great guests sharing what they do in the space, and encourage you to kind of go through the portfolio. And if something Faust and I discussed, made you excited, give us a rating. If something, give us some stars down below if you're listening on the audio, and something really got you upset, write some gnarly comments from your emotional side. Get your juices flowing so you can go out there and fight the monsters. And Faust or I will write something back to just further inflame you, so we can just keep the conversation going.
We'll hit submit and run. That's what we'll do.
Absolutely. Faust, I'll see you. Hang around for 30 seconds. I'll see you on the other side.
All right.
Yeah, loose, baby.
But we're about to go and make this vessel with these great professionals in public glass. We're not part of the community, but we're from the outer family of glassblowing. Yeah, we're gonna go make a magical giant jar with optic lenses, so that if you turn it, it changes all the time. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at